Good afternoon. I see that Commissioner Stone has joined, so we'll go ahead and get started. I am Suzanne Cooler, the interim county engineer, and also on is Nathaniel Panther, who's our transportation engineer. As I put in the chat, you will have the option to speak and ask questions, or you can type them. What you have to do is click on the raise your hand option on the Zoom webinar to allow you to speak. We'll call on people as in the order in which they raise their hands. In case you're not sure, you're in the Zoom meeting to discuss improvements to Shipyard Road at Whitfield Avenue. I didn't know if Commissioner Stone wanted to say a few words before we get started, or.
Well, I can. Suzanne, I appreciate all of your efforts, and I saw the signs that you all put out there, the notification to let citizens know that we were doing this. And I think it'll be an opportunity for everybody to see what we're looking at and to certainly give their comments. But I appreciate all that y'all put into this, because certainly we want to not have a strip of roadway that could be pose any danger to anyone.
Yeah, we certainly don't want that. And so we did get we have gotten complaints, and there has been a noted problem with the intersection specifically that is the cutoff from Whitfield to Shipyard. And we've got a solution that we think will solve that problem, and I'll let Nathaniel discuss the details of that plan.
Okay, thanks, Suzanne. Thanks, Commissioner Stone. Let me try to share my screen for everyone so y'all can see. Did that come through?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So the area of concern really is this intersection, this point in the intersection right now. Under the current conditions, as most of y'all live out there know, this is right now a two-way, I'll call it a slip lane, that you can get from Whitfield Avenue to Shipyard, and then vice versa from Shipyard to Whitfield. But the area of concern is that we have a lot of people that aren't yielding, and we have a lot of close calls. So in order to look at the operation and safety, we tried to identify some relatively cost-effective ways that we could improve the safety. So what we came up with is actually converting that two-way, as I said, slip lane. We're going to make it one lane from Shipyard Road onto Whitfield Avenue. And then if you're coming down Whitfield Avenue and wanting to make a left on Shipyard, we're going to force that movement down to this location, and then you can make your left-hand turn. Mm-hmm. And the benefit is that right now with the two-way movement, you really have two additional conflict points here that we don't need. These two intersections are not that far apart. It's really not going to make a big difference for folks to come down here to make the left-hand turn. The benefit also would be, folks would have to slow down, so that this kind of allows people to speed and not necessarily slow down as much. Whereas coming down Whitfield, you would have to slow down, make sure it's clear, and then you can make your left-hand turn. So that's really what we're trying to address. And what we would like to do is we can, on the short term, test this improvement out. We could put temporary drums, cones, and temporary signs out and give it 30 or 45 days and see how it works. If it turns out that we're missing something, that it's not making it safer, we can come back and reevaluate. But what we'd like to do is actually implement this on a temporary basis and then come back and say, okay, is it working? Is it making it safer? Are we seeing improvements? And that's really what we're looking at right now for the improvement. So I think the best thing to do is, if folks have questions, I don't know, we do have this up on our website, and I'll show you that in a second. And any comments, questions, concerns, my email address is on the website. Let me go ahead and show you that quick. Let me see if I can do a new share screen. Okay, if you go to engineering.chathamcounty.org, we have a projects page. You click on that, and then there's 2 pages because we've got several projects going on now. So you want to click on page 2, and the last project is the Shipyard Road at Whitfield Avenue operational improvement. And if you click on that, you can actually take a look at the concept layout. That's the invitation to the public meeting, but you see my address, email address there, that you can email me any comments, questions, concerns that don't get addressed at this meeting. But with that being said, I mean, it's pretty straightforward improvement. And I think the best thing to do is go ahead and open it up to questions now.
Yeah, thanks, Nat. I see that Wayne Noah has his hand raised, so I'm gonna allow him to talk. Good afternoon, Wayne. There you are.
Can you hear me now?
There
Yes.
he is.
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. I thought you were unmuting me. First of all, thank you all for doing this. I think it's a great way to get the community involvement and get, you know, ideas from them, and as well as Commissioner Stone. So thank you. On behalf, I'm going to speak on three different levels. First, this is just I'm the chief of the, or was the chief of the fire department, been there for 30 something years. And I will tell you that I cannot recall an accident at the curve section where the curve meets Whitfield. But I can recall many at the intersection, the 90-degree at Whitfield and Shipyard and Whitfield Park. So that kind of concerns me that there's not any wrecks there now. I don't use the curve myself. If I'm going from Whitfield to Shipyard, I go down and make a left-hand turn because of the embankment. You really cannot see. So for that, you know, I'm thankful that y'all are, you know, you're looking into this. On behalf of Burnside Island Neighborhood Association, which I'm the president of, I had a few questions, and they were, as I just spoke, that 90-degree turn, if you, in the past, as it is today, if people are going south on Whitfield and they go to turn onto the curve part, it gives a break in traffic so that people can get out of Whitfield Park. That's a very congested area when it's busy. I'm sure y'all have done a traffic count and have the numbers. But with this not being the case, if we change it, will y'all reduce the speed in that area down to a, I mean, they're going to do the speed that they want, but I think it needs to be a reduced speed, at least, you know, 500 feet either way, so that we give Whitfield Park residents an opportunity to get out and not have to play chicken, if you will, to get across the road, because whereas before they did have some slower traffic from people turning. Also, and Commissioner Stone, I'm sure is very familiar, the area at the 90-degree turn where we have been, or y'all, Public Works have been keeping cleared, that is going to be a key to this project, that it's clear enough to keep a line of sight. I'm not for taking any trees down, but the underbrush will need to be kept clean because of putting more traffic.
I agree.
Yeah, and then and I'm sure you were involved in getting that cleared, and I appreciate that. The other, I have two more. At that same curve, I mean, not the curve, at that same 90-degree spot on Shipyard, when it rains heavily, there's a, I mean, it's almost a basin there that the water catches, and until it seeps into the ground. I think we need to look at some kind of improvement as far as drainage. And there is a large ditch, canal, whatever you want to call it, to the west of Turner Hodge Young property that was installed in the last 5 or 10 years. If we could get some kind of catch basin and take that water away, I think that would be helpful. And then lastly, the stop sign on your diagram, you showed a stop sign at the where the yield sign is now, going from the curve to Whitfield North. Will that be a stop sign? I've never seen a stop sign on a curve like that. Is that normal?
I went back and shared my screen. So you had a lot of comments. So let me try.
I know,
to
I'm sorry.
go
I
through.
just wanted to
No,
get them
it's
out.
great. It's great.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
So I did go back and look, and we only did find one accident at this location, but there was one. And I did see that there were several at this location,
Yes.
we'll call it the 90 degree, because the first iteration of what we looked at is well, do we even need this road? And the thought process was yes, because if you're turning right, and there are some sight distance issues here when the underbrush is not cut back, that it's probably safer to go ahead and push people up to this point if you're turning right. Really, this is if you want to come down and make the left. I mean, we're not going to restrict right turn lanes, but we're hoping if you're turning right onto Whitfield that you're going to use this maneuver.
I do know, but let me just interrupt for 1 second. I promise
Yes,
I
sir.
won't anymore. I will say for the emergency access, it is crucial that you lead that curve, because moving those big apparatus on a 90 degree in that type of area where it's so congested with tree cover and traffic, I am all for leaving that.
Okay, and that's fine. That's very important to know, and another reason we can leave it and justify leaving it. With regard to the standing water, that's something we can investigate, and I'll talk with Suzanne more after this. But I don't want to stray the scope of a traffic safety improvement project here that we can implement on the short term, and then now we're looking at drainage and a whole big project that it's going to take a long time to implement. So I think it's a valid point that we evaluate and look at opportunities to improve drainage at this intersection, but we'll probably do it concurrently while we're doing this, and likely the traffic improvements would occur pretty far ahead of any drainage improvements we could make.
Thank you so much.
We'll run that by Bill and our drainage folks.
Yeah, that's true. It'll take a while to design and implement a drainage improvement project, whereas this will be ready to go by the end of October for the temporary, and then we'll run the temporary, I'm thinking, for about 30 days and make sure that it's working before we implement the permanent striping.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thanks, Wayne. Did that answer all your questions?
I believe so. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
I see that Bobby, I'm going to allow Bobby, you probably will have to unmute yourselves. Bobby?
Yes, I'm here. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, I am calling in reference. I actually wrote the letter to the county manager in reference to what you guys are discussing today. The intersection, the 90-degree angle intersection that the previous speaker had just spoke about, is very dangerous. I make a lot of left-hand turns off to Shipyard onto Whitfield, and for more than 90% of the time, you cannot see to the passengers, or excuse me, the cars that are coming down Whitfield Avenue. And I know the speed limit around that area is 25 miles per hour, but I think even our commissioner will tell you that nobody does 25 miles per hour coming down Whitfield Avenue.
That's true.
So with that being said, it's almost playing chicken, because you sometimes you can't even see. And if the way the sun sets, sometimes the sun is blinding you, so you really can't see. I am advocating a 3-way, maybe 4-way stop sign in that area. I think that's probably the best thing, because it will make people stop, and people would have the opportunity to pull out. There is a lot more traffic coming down Whitfield Avenue and Shipyard Road than there was even 5 years ago. So something seriously needs to be considered right there, because I don't want people to have accidents. I don't want to have an accident. And furthermore, I don't want anybody to, get seriously injured or lose their life because we didn't take it serious enough. So that's my comment. I would hope you guys would consider that.
Yeah, we'll definitely consider that and take a look at options. Thank you.
Thank you.
Max Harper, you again will probably have to unmute yourself.
Yes, I'm here. Thank you. I live in Whitfield Park, and talking about the curve, I almost got hit there several times recently. And yes, I agree, something needs to be done there. I don't agree to take the whole road out there, the curve, because back in the 20s, I think the history of Montgomery area here, we used to have a racetrack.
Right. Mhm.
So I think that's part of the history in the Montgomery area. That road needs to stay, but putting it down to one lane, I think that will help. But talking back to the Whitfield area, coming out of Whitfield Park, the people coming from Strawn Avenue and all that area, and the speed limit is 25, I believe, but they're doing more than that. And I don't know what the county can do, but the four-way stop would help or something, but or the three-way, even put some kind of a speed bumps or something, if that's allowable, to slow down the traffic. I know the county police can't be there all the time, but I got hit there a year or so ago, somebody cutting in on me, and I was at the stop sign and they just cut right in on me there. So that's what I would like to see, just an option.
We can, as Suzanne said, we can evaluate whether a multi-way stop is warranted at that location. That's really based on the accident history, but also more on the volumes of traffic on Whitfield and Shipyard and how those compare. But we can definitely evaluate that as part of this project to see if it's needed.
Okay, I would greatly appreciate that. And I think residents of Whitfield Park would like that too, because the county has kept it cleared. Thanks to you, Helen Stone, and help getting it cleared. But
Thank
it
you.
is hard. It is hard to get out of there. And,
It is.
and you kind of, like Wayne Noah said, you're playing chicken when you come out.
We'll definitely take those into consideration. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Kate Goodheart is next. Kate.
Thank you very much. So a lot of what everyone is saying, I completely agree. I'm a new resident, only been here for a year, but I am not only, actually, I can see my driveway in the picture, and I can also see our business in the photo. So I know we are right here in all of it with a new teen driver. So I've been looking at this intersection. So first of all, thank you for taking this and addressing it and trying to make improvements to make it safer. When you were doing your assessment, I see the stop sign for the curve, right? We're talking curve versus 90-degree areas, the intersection. At the little S, I have noticed trying to run errands and going in and out of Savannah Auto Works, which is the shorter of the two buildings, which is running, yes, sir, right there. So that's Savannah Auto Works. And so when you're on Whitfield turning left into that parking lot, it's like a big L, that parking lot. It's difficult to see with the trees in that satellite photo. But I've seen quite a number of those close calls where you said you had seen the accident report for that one, but very, very close calls. And when I say a lot, we're talking 3-4 days a week with people coming down Shipyard thinking, oh, I can just zoop around the curve, right? And that I, like, our family belovedly calls that the alley-oop curve, because it just kind of feels like a little zoop. But what we are seeing is people trying to turn in and out of the businesses, the little S, and out of the exit from those businesses onto Shipyard, so either Whitfield or Shipyard. And so I'm wondering, during your assessment, if you looked at that traffic flow and how that traffic flow also will it be impacted, or safety wise, or just sheer volume coming in and out of the little S, or coming in and out of the Shipyard entrance into that shopping center?
Let me make sure. So are a lot of the conflicts, if you can see my hand moving, someone coming out of this shopping plaza and then going in this direction on Shipyard?
Well,
like
some of
coming
it's from, yeah. So I think that will stop, but a lot Yes. A lot of it, noticed people making a left where your pointer is, coming out there to Whitfield,
On the Whitfield, okay.
right or a left. Either way. And then on the Shipyard entrance, which would be
Yeah, it's probably like
about
right
where the
here.
double arrows are, that's close to the driveway right there. I've seen a number of instances there because the traffic flow of people coming Whitfield, they will now travel south on Whitfield and turn left onto Shipyard and then make a left into that, those businesses, which a lot of traffic flow does that, coming that direction already. And those near misses has happened. So I just didn't know if during your assessment you looked at that.
I haven't considered all that, and that's one of the great reasons why having this is to be able to identify these things that we don't necessarily see, the first time we look at it. So that's something all those points we can definitely consider as we look at it. And then that's also, one of our hopes is that if we do this on a temporary basis, it might flush out some of these issues that we don't see or that we didn't anticipate, and identify some additional changes we can make before we implement this or anything else on a permanent basis.
Well, that we would gladly, and as the owner, my husband and I own Savannah Auto Works, so we would gladly provide you with any observations. We obviously are out there with cars all the time looking at things and see quite a lot from 8 a.m. to well after 6 p.m. So several of the high traffic timeframes.
Okay. Thank you for those comments.
Sure. Thank you for considering it.
Thank you, Kate. Kurt, you're up next.
Hello?
Hi, Kurt. We can hear you. You have to unmute yourself.
I think I am unmuted.
Yes.
There you go.
I live just a little further down Whitfield Avenue from here, and I go by this intersection several times a day. And I know where the three-way stop is, or the three-way intersection is right now. Yeah, right over there. I know that area can be dangerous because people just ignore the speed limit sign right over there. But to me, I don't know how much is planned on being spent on this project, but it seems to me a simple solution is just to trim the trees and cut the trees and the brush where people can see down the road there, and not spend all the money on this stuff that's maybe unneeded. And the second thing was, I can't see real well. I'm just looking at a phone, the overhead view out from the phone here, but it looks to me like one of the lanes on that curve is being slated to be removed. Is that correct?
As part of this concept, we're showing it as a hatched out area.
Okay.
So it would be striped, but it could either be removed or we would hatch it out, but that would be a part of the permanent solution. We really wouldn't do that as part of this temporary solution.
Okay. You can't legislate that people don't do stupid things. People are going to do it. And if you remove that two-way ability there, people are just going to cut through the parking lot even more than they do to get to the auto works, for example. And so I think that's a mistake. I think that needs to remain two ways in that curve. And but I think the real solution here, I think you said 3 accidents at that three-way place there. And I know one person that got into an accident there. So there's one of them. But again, it seems to me that the real solution there is make it where people can see. Just cut the trees and the brush. It's in public right away. And if that's done, then that would eliminate the problem. And without having to spend a lot of money on something that may cause another problem. And then someone mentioned maybe a speed bump or something, and having a speed bump or two close to that three-way intersection, maybe just a little to, I guess it would be to the south along Whitfield there. That would definitely slow people down. But there may be another way to do it as well. I'm not for impeding the flow of traffic by putting another stop sign there. I know that would definitely get people to stop and look, but I'm not for the traffic. There can be, considering the size of the road, a little heavy. I'm not for impeding it further by putting a stop sign there. But I am all for doing what is necessary so that people can see through that intersection. That's about all I can think of right now. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you for the comments and we'll consider those. Generally, well, we'll look at the intersection, but of course only recommend stop signs if they are warranted. We don't recommend them if they're not warranted because that makes it less safe for drivers actually. But thank you for the comments and we'll consider all that. So then my question is, did Wayne Noah and Kate Goodheart raise their hand again, or are they just left out there? For the sake of this, I'm gonna lower everyone's hands, and then if you want to speak again, you can raise your hand again. Okay, Wayne.
Just one follow-up question, if I could, or statement, not a question. The biggest concern or the biggest safety issue that I see is not the stopping that we've been talking about and all, those are concerns. But someone mentioned it, I think it was Mr. Harper, this embankment was for a racetrack. And if you're in a vehicle any taller than a sedan, even some of the trucks, when you get to the bottom of the screen where the hatched area meets Shipyard, you're at such a angle that if a child is riding his bike, and I've seen it happen, they are so low, you're not able to see them. I've even not been able to see small cars, the very small cars that ride low to the ground. So I think that is one of, in my opinion, the biggest concerns of the intersection. All the other stuff I said as well, but it's the curve. I mean, the curve needs to be one way because of the embankment or the slope. Thank you.
Thank you. Kate, did you wish to speak again?
I had another question that I forgot about. First of all, I want to say kudos on the Zoom management. I do this with my job and it's incredibly challenging. So kudos to you. My question was around timing. What kind of, you mentioned possibly doing a trial run to see how it could work and what the findings are from that. And what kind of time frame are you looking at potentially doing either changes or doing that trial run?
So we're prepared to implement the temporary by the end of October, and then we would run that for about 30 days to flush out any problems or any things we haven't thought about, or just to make sure it's working for everyone. And then we would be looking at probably around the first of the year or so before we implement the permanent.
Okay, that makes sense. The reason I obviously for the business standpoint, I was wondering, and obviously for residential, but also if you're going to kick it off, manage safety stuff for a utility company that I work for full-time. One of the things we have to pay attention to is when daylight savings time is, because it impacts driving significantly, and time change and the sun, obviously with those time changes, will impact the traffic, and that is on November 1st. So I just thought I might mention that because it would directly impact a whole lot of traffic, people drive and all that kind of stuff around that time frame. But that's good to know for our business. We want to make sure we're aware also.
Well, thank you. That's a good point. We will, you've probably seen our message board signs out. We'll make sure that those advertise before we implement any, even temporary, so that we
I
get.
came from Atlanta, and I have to say I've never in 20 years there with lots of road improvements all around us, I never had advance notice like this. So when I say kudos, thank you. I really appreciate this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So does anyone have any further questions or comments? I see a hand. Kurt, I'm going to unmute you again. Kurt, you'll have to unmute yourself.
Okay, hopefully
Yeah.
that's got it.
That
Okay.
is.
All right. I'm not, I cannot right at the moment visualize that embankment that fellow was talking about. Maybe the solution is to remove the embankment. Everything over there is relatively low. Shouldn't be all that difficult to do that. That way you could keep two-way traffic on that curve. And
I think what
I don't know.
I think he's talking about the road geometry itself, and that would require rebuilding the entire road.
Yeah, I think what Wayne Noah was referring to was the super elevation of the road, which is the steepness
Right.
of how it goes. So
Right. That's what I was referring.
yeah. So we can
Yeah. That's
evaluate. We can
okay.
evaluate that and see if it meets standard based on the radius of the curve and whatnot.
Okay.
But that, we can definitely look at that.
I know, again, I'm not going to say I drive all three legs of that triangle there every day, but I do pass by there every day, several times a day. Just my opinion. Everybody's got their own. I don't see where the elevation is that much of a problem. It hasn't been for me. I drive a LeSabre. It's a low to the cart, low to the, low. I don't sit up high. And I have not seen a problem with that, but I'm not doubting the other fellow has. I just haven't seen it myself.
Sure.
So I'm I'm just thinking, sometimes the best thing you can do is work with what you got, leave things alone, and maybe just trim, things a bit, and maybe put a blinking light up or something. I don't know. Just some more. That's all I'll say. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you for the comments, and we're considering it all. I see that ALP. Oh, ALP.
Ow.
Alp. Or is it Alp?
Ow.
Ow. Okay.
Hey, just real quick, I wanted to support what Kurt had said earlier when he first came on. The area there at the 90°, I live in Whitfield Park. Yes, sir, right there. I've been there for approximately about 25 years, and I can attest that that is very dangerous coming out of that Whitfield Park intersection. I think all of this could be a real quick solution if you keep the trees and the brush, the high vegetation trimmed down. I don't believe you have to do anything else with these roads. They've been there for a long time. You can't fix stupid, and that's what a lot of these people are when they're speeding. So you're not going to be able to fix that. I don't believe in putting up any more lights or stop signs, but right there at Whitfield Park and Shipyard Road, those trees have to be taken out. They have to be trimmed back, and that there would fix the problem. Thank you.
Thank you. John Butler.
Yeah,
John, there you
yeah.
go.
I was looking, thinking, I hear what Wayne and all of them are saying, and this one-way traffic. What are you going to do with the traffic that's coming south down Whitfield, going to the corner? You're going to add that much more traffic going to the corner where you already have a congested corner to turn on the Shipyard. And when you do that, you're going to add more traffic coming up to the corner to make that turn when we come out of Whitfield. I live in Whitfield Park. And when you do that, you add more traffic on that corner. And when you take it off that turn curve. That's right.
Right there's the entrance to Whitfield Park.
Right. And
Okay.
Pages live right across from Shipyard, right there on Whitfield. And I've seen where people run through the stop sign and run right on into it. You got to look where you're going. You got to stay sober. We've got that problem now with somebody who was drunk apparently and hit a child down the street there. And you can't fix people when they don't do what's right. You're responsible for your own actions. And a lot of people make that sweep going to Burnson Island, these other places. What you're going to do, stop them from coming through here? No, they come that way to get out of some of the congestion in other places.
Thanks for the comments. Where it will require, this plan will require people to turn at that 90-degree spot. So yes, there will be increased traffic at that location.
That's one of my thoughts there on the thing. And I understand what they're saying about everybody going to that shopping center. I've been in there a number of times. I go up to the auto works there, and I usually come down Shipyard and turn in that way. And I'll go across the parking lot and go north on the Whitfield a lot of times. When I'm over there, something I leave. But you got to make a choice which way you're gonna go to be less risky.
Thank you for the comments. Jane.
Gilchrist.
Hi, Jane Gilchrist.
Hi, I live over in Burnside Island and I use Shipyard Whitfield to go out into the rest of the world. And I do agree with many of the comments about cutting back the brush because the sight line at the current intersection, the T section where the stop sign is now, that is obscured. And so you really do have to, it would be very helpful if it was cleaned up there. The curved road, though, I do have to support the proposal to make it one lane going north, I guess that would be. Because unfortunately, and we have this issue on Burnside, people no longer understand, or if they do understand, don't honor the concept of yield. And one day I actually came almost to a complete stop because somebody just breezed through the yield sign when I indeed had the right of way. So I'm rather happy to see it the curve turned into a one lane, one-way street. Because people, and we've had this problem here on Burnside where people don't understand or honor the concept of yield. So that's my 2 cents on it.
Thank you for the comments. Kurt, you wanted to speak again?
No, I don't think I hit it again.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna go to Tolksdorf.
Yeah, there we are. Yes, my concern is I live a little bit up the street here. When you're on Whitfield and you're about to make an entrance into the shopping mall, and you have this other road and the curved road all coming together there, that even now, that is a odd intersection, and traffic is increasing in this road. And I guess that's why we're addressing this intersection. That you're going to create a bit of a problem when somebody's on Whitfield wants to make a left into the traffic, into the shopping mall, and somebody is coming and attempting to make a yield there. Stop sign, but that'll turn into a yield. People will use it that way. You can signage it all you want. Is there a way to modify that? I know you're going to have to dig up some road and do something with that, because you have a driveway awfully close to an odd intersection of 3 coming in.
Yeah, there's, one of the things we looked at, I believe they have their dumpster, if you can see, I think is somewhere over in this area. So we know we have to accommodate trash trucks at some point. But it may be something we need to work with the owners of that convenience store to better delineate, because I think right now that whole area is just wide open. And maybe
Yes, that has a long curb cut to it. And the entrance to that shopping mall, well, in today's standards, you wouldn't be able to put an entrance that close to an intersection. But yeah, that is that how you enter that shopping mall from Whitfield is, yeah, the daily patrons there. And the other thing I don't see, and that may be on a different drawing, is you putting crosswalks in here. I do drive this, and I see people walking across the street here a lot. I don't know if you're putting pedestrian crosswalks in here or signage or something. And when we come to this Shipyard Road intersecting Whitfield, that stop sign there, by the way, I always use that. That curve is extremely dangerous to use in either direction. Ideally, I would suggest you remove it completely, because there is no use for it at all. And as somebody else says, cutting back the trees so you get a sight line from oncoming traffic would be great. Rumble strips would help at that stop sign, to advise you're coming to a stop sign, because it's dark there. So, but those are my thoughts. This intersection needs a little bit more work than what I'm looking at here, in my opinion.
We hadn't considered the pedestrians, so we do appreciate those comments. I'm getting a lot of repeats, so I'm going to lower everyone's hands again. If you want to speak at another time, if you'll raise your hand again. Max?
Yes, one more thing I just would like to bring up about the curve. I've been listening to everybody's inputs. If y'all don't make that 1 lane on the curve, and it continues to have 2 lanes coming out to that yield sign, which people do not observe, I suggest putting speed bumps on that road if y'all don't make it 1 lane, because as someone said earlier, people do not obey yield signs. They just fly right through it, and that's a problem. That's all I had to say.
Thank you for the comments. Wayne?
Yes, ma'am. Just for everyone's edification, and I believe Mr. Panther can testify to this, the right-of-way in that area is very odd. The road is not in the center of the right-of-way. If the county has to go in and start putting, which I'm not opposed to it, but if they have to start putting, walkways or crosswalks for the individuals, it's going to be some land acquisition and stuff. I mean, for instance, the sidewalks further down in front of the townhomes are on private property. There's not even but 2 feet of what do you call it?
Right of way.
Thank you, between the road and the property line. So I think y'all have the right idea to move forward and at least do a temporary and see how it works. We may all come back and say none of this works or all of it does work. So thank you again.
Well, and I don't, you know, again, what prompted this is Commissioner Stone really raised the concern of this area. So I don't want to lose sight of this is what we're trying to fix now, but I think there's value in hearing all these comments that these are things we can consider as maybe a future or a bigger project. But we really still want to focus with what the goal of this plan was to really look and see if we can get rid or minimize the conflict points at this location. But again, I think these are great comments and there's
Absolutely.
value that we can consider for something in the future.
And Mr. Harper may have hit the nail on the head with the speed bumps on that curve, because if you slow down enough, you're going to be able to see what's coming both ways on the curve where your hand is now. Thank you.
And I'll just, since it's come up several times, I'll go ahead and respond to the speed bumps. We have a traffic engineering, a neighborhood traffic calming policy, and it prohibits us from installing speed bumps on county maintained roads. But what it does allow is for us to look at other traffic calming measures that we can implement that don't reduce, you know, they don't slow down emergency vehicles in the case of an emergency. They don't impede drainage, and they're not an unanticipated hazard in the roadway. So what I can commit to, and we can consider looking at alternatives as a part of this, and maybe that's part of the permanent solution, that we can make some additional geometric modifications to encourage people to slow down more through this area. But the speed bumps under the current policy are not something that we would consider, just so everyone's aware of that.
Wayne, did you have more to add?
No, ma'am. Y'all probably tired of me talking.
Max? Did you have more to add, Max? You're muted. Move on to John Butler. You'll have to unmute yourself.
All right. I understand what everybody's saying there, and I have seen people run that yield sign, stop sign, and never slow down. And that is a concern that can be when you turn in there, you got to watch somebody doing that. But let me ask you this. Can we light that area up better? Because it's dark when you come in there at nighttime or in the morning, you're leaving to go to work. Can that be lit up more?
Yeah, we'll look at that. That's why these meetings are good, to get this type of feedback. We'll take a look at the lighting and if the power is available and those types of things.
Would that work?
Well, I don't know that solar would work in that area with all the trees, but
I understand that.
But it's something we'll definitely look into.
Okay.
Again, I'm gonna lower everyone. If you want to raise your hand again, you can. Oh, it's not lowering everyone's hands. Maybe because you're not muted. And the question has come up, do we have another plan if the 30 days plan doesn't work? Currently, we do not. So what we will do is take any information back from that and look at potential other options if we need to. I'm still getting John and Max, so I will allow John to talk if you had more to add. I don't know what's going on here. We spoke too soon on the technical issues. But so were there any other questions or comments? Oh no, the power. Okay, sorry. Thank you for that, Kate. Must be raining at the intersection. Yes, so we'll be glad to kind of just sit around and wait for people to come back in, or I'll leave it up to you, Commissioner Stone, if you would want us to hang around for another hour and wait.
That's, I mean, you don't have any more people lined up to talk?
No, ma'am.
I wait just a few more minutes. We're having a terrible storm out here. I just lost power. So if I lose you, I don't have any power in my house.
We'll hang on.
We're having quite the storm out here.
Well, we had planned on hanging out till 6. So.
Okay. Well, I think there have been some good comments, and
Absolutely.
So. Shh.
Storm here too.
Well, I just got a report that somebody hit a telephone pole, so I'm not going to have power for a while.
Speaking of traffic issues.
Yes.
Kurt, did you want to speak?
Yeah, power went out here too, but fortunately I have batteries. But anyway, I was just looking at. I figured out how to zoom the screen in and look at this a little closer, and I realized. So if you're going around that curve one way as it's drawn, so you would be turning toward the northeast, and even if you trim that, you still have limited visibility off your left shoulder coming up on that intersection. And like someone said, people are going to ignore the stop sign there. But if you leave that two-way, I don't know. I just don't see where leaving it two-way would be an issue. It looks to me like that would actually be safer to leave that thing two-way, because you'd have a yellow blinking light or something there. I don't know. It just doesn't. Just putting a one-way lane there, to me, just does not look to me useful. I don't see the advantage to it at all. Maybe I missed the first part of the presentation. What was the logic for doing that?
No, I'll go over it again. So anytime we evaluate any intersection, every time you have a vehicle turning and then another movement, we call it a conflict point. And those are the areas where you have opportunities for accidents to occur. So under the current conditions with this intersection the way it is, and let's just assume this is two-way like it is now, a car coming out here has a potential to impact a car driving towards Whitfield on Shipyard and a car going away from away from Whitfield on Shipyard. Sorry. So
Yeah.
you really have two conflict points based on this one-way movement as it approaches this intersection. So by getting rid of and making this one-way, we're not increasing the number of conflict points here, and we're taking away two conflict points here. Operationally, it's making it safer when you take into consideration the overall area. We're reducing the number of conflict points, and that's the thought process behind our proposal.
Why wouldn't you have two conflict points up at the other end of that curve?
Right here,
Yeah,
you do,
the
but
same.
we already have those now. We're not
Don't
increasing
you
them.
have?
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
you're not increasing them, but you're not reducing them. And you're
No,
I
not
don't-
here. This was this area was the area of concern where when we started evaluating options out here.
Have there been a lot of accidents there?
We pulled the accident reports over the last 5 years and found one accident at this location. And then we have received reports of some close calls where I think, as everyone said, folks aren't yielding as they approach this.
That's how it was reported to me, is that there
Yeah.
was going to be a serious accident because no one would yield
Yeah.
at that intersection.
You know, a close, in aviation, people call that a near miss. But a near miss is still a miss. And you only had one accident in 5 years. I don't see where there's an issue there. And if you've got a conflict point there at the lower end of the curve, you got the same situation at the high end of the curve that's not being addressed. I don't see where either one of them should be addressed. I don't see where you really have that much of a problem. Again, you cannot fix things to where people aren't going to do something stupid. You can warn them a little better, maybe with a blinking yellow light or something, but you can't fix everything. We can't just keep spending money on stuff that's not really a problem. And that's kind of how I'm seeing this. The more I look at it, you had mentioned something about speed bumps were not part of something that the county could do. I didn't understand the reason why. Could you briefly explain that again?
Yes, sir. So we have what's called a neighborhood traffic calming policy, and we use that policy to evaluate opportunities in mainly residential areas where we can implement geometric changes or make modifications to try to slow traffic down. But one of the things we don't consider are speed bumps, and there's a couple reasons for that. The first is it's really an unanticipated hazard in the roadway that can actually lead to accidents.
Right.
And
Motorcycles.
Motorcycles, really emergency vehicles is another big one, because if they're going to an emergency, all they care about is getting there. They're not looking for something in the road, and a fire truck going fast over a speed bump and not knowing it's there could really cause a serious accident. And then in some areas, they really could impede drainage and cause ponding water on our roads. So when we look at those three issues, we have made the determination, that's been since I've been here for 15 years, that we don't install speed bumps on county maintained roads.
Okay.
But there are other geometric options we can consider and look at, including enforcement too. I know that enforcement's not going to fix everything, but when you start getting more of a police presence out there, it's going to help, slow people down, even if it's for a short amount of time.
I can see where the police normally park for, say, a speed trap or something from the front of my house. And believe me, the police department ignores the speed limit signs over there. Okay. They don't do it themselves. So I don't think enforcement is even something we can consider. I'll just make a final statement on this, and then I'm going to cut off the call because I've had 3 opportunities to talk, and I appreciate that. But just to recap, my opinion, for what little that's worth, is that trim, at the three-way 90-degree intersection there, where there's already a stop sign, trim that a lot, where people can see a good distance over there. Maybe a flashing yellow light over there would be a good thing as well, where the speed limit changes down to 25. Maybe people would actually consider doing 25 instead of 50 over there. But as far as the curve, as everything I can tell, and when I look at this and try to imagine how, anything that would happen here from changing it or how it is now, I don't see where eliminating one direction on the curve is going to do anything but make for more hazard or impede traffic in some way. I realize that in both cases, on both sides of that curve, it's joining up with traffic coming from another direction. I realize that, but I don't think it's going to fix it. I don't think eliminating that is the best option. I think the best option is to do a lot of trimming, maybe put up a yellow light or two, and just remember that we can't make people not do stupid things. But with only one accident there in 5 years, I don't think we have a problem. Thank you for the chance to have input on this, and I'll cut off here now.
Well, thank you for
Thank you.
your comments.
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate the comments.
Thank you.
I think your storm came downtown, Commissioner Stone. It's raining pretty hard here.
I'm pretty sure they just
I'm just
switched.
hoping for some power sometime soon.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sitting in the dark. Were you all able to have a discussion with the owner of the shopping center there?
No, I haven't talked to him, but after the comments we received, I think we need to reach out and look at it before we make a permanent decision. I think we can go forward, and we can still reach out to him. I think we can go forward with a temporary.
Right. Go ahead.
If that's how you want to proceed. But before we did anything permanent, I think we really want to talk to him related to their access, and because it is, it's not unique to that area. You just have these old driveways that over time turn into 50 and 60 foot wide, and that's not what they were intended to be. And it's not a great location, but maybe they would be willing to work with us on trying to figure out a way to make it a little safer.
On the onset, I don't think that he had any problems with it. He contacted me last week and asked for who he should talk to about getting copies of the plans and that kind of thing. So I assume he did talk to someone. I sent the email, so I don't know whether y'all, his name is
Claude Shore.
Yes, Claude Shore.
Yeah, Suzanne, I believe, sent him a link to the concept, so he should have been able to access that through our website.
Okay. I just want to make sure that, he's aware of some of the comments that were made and that kind of thing. But I do agree that, by making this one way, we've still got that little issue with the entrance to the shopping center. Yeah, right up there. And that's going to be a little bit of a problem, I think. But no. The comments that I got, and unfortunately the gentleman that brought a lot of this to my attention, he has a landscape company, and he for some reason is not on the call today, but he's the one that just said he's seen so many near misses, and I really don't want to wait until someone gets hurt.
Well, the thing to remember is this. While we're not fixing this here, we're not changing this condition, really. We're not doing we're not hurting this, we're not making it worse, but we are fixing this problem. And
Right.
so
So
I'm not
So I
saying we
think the
can't evaluate. Yeah.
the temporary thing you're going to set up isn't going to cost much money.
No, we'll put up
So,
some. barrel.
right. So I think just to sort of see how that works would be a good exercise, and let's see if it does help, with not having this intersection where people just really, they do not yield. And they're going to come around that curve because it's just like you said, like it's been stated, it was a racetrack.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway, I think that the comments today were good. The only thing that I might add, that possibly with this intersection to Whitfield Park and the intersection, the 90-degree, right,
Yeah.
maybe that would be a place for a blinking light, like we have at Shipyard in the end of Ferguson.
We can look at it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just right. There's a blinking light at Shipyard in Ferguson.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just a thought.
Sure. No,
So,
that's why we're here.
Oh, we got,
yeah, but y'all did a great job orchestrating this
we have
meeting today.
who has their hand raised? Lisa Taylor.
Okay.
Hi, Lisa. You'll have to unmute. Oh, no, you're not muted. Lisa?
My name is Don.
Oh, okay. You have a terrible connection. We can't understand you.
Can you type your question in? You're at a computer?
No.
No. Okay.
Sign on the yield sign out and put a stop sign. Where the yield sign is, put
Right here.
a stop sign.
Oh, here.
Here.
Okay.
I think the thought is if people aren't
That's
yielding.
I'm sorry. I don't have good connection.
We can hear you now.
Okay. Do you understand what I said? When you come from Whitfield to Shipyard, around the bend, everybody's got to stop.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
And they make it so much simpler. Cut the underbrush and leave things alone.
Well, that's something we can evaluate and see if what we're proposing doesn't work, that we're not doing anything that means we can't come back and make it just like it is now.
Well, I understand that, and that's a good thing.
Yes,
But
sir.
the underbrush is terrible. I know. I've traveled the road all the time.
We've heard that from several people, and I've been taking notes. So we'll make sure that the appropriate departments, we've heard some from speeding and whatnot, that we're going to
intersection. At all the intersections, everybody's got to stop and slow down. Stop.
Yeah.
Every intersection, stop. It makes it so much simpler. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
But they don't stop.
Oh, that's the problem.
I know. That's my concern.
Well, it's been good turnout.
Yeah.
I'm pleased with the way it's turned out.
It worked out. It exceeded my expectations for him. I think this Zoom format works very well.
Mhm. I want to thank the PIO for that.
Yes.
Oh, I have like another hand raised. Kate is back. Kate?
Hey, I was just trying to get my house in order and listening. During the temporary trial, if y'all go that route, which it sounds like a really viable option to me, do y'all here use cameras so that you could record what's going on? It's difficult to monitor, I know, but just to be able to kind of see how it's working, is that something y'all do here?
Not something we do. I know of a local consultant that is starting to use video cameras to take traffic counts at intersections.
Yeah.
So it's something we could possibly work with them on if we needed to. I know I plan to spend a little bit of time out there at different times just to, witness it. But obviously, I can't sit out there for 8 hours a day.
Right,
10
obviously.
hours a day.
Yeah.
But that's
Yeah.
something we can definitely consider, is because that's a newer technology. Like I said, we haven't used it, but I know it's available locally. That it may be a good opportunity for us to see how it works if we did it for a day or two.
Yeah, yeah, you wouldn't have to do it for like the whole 30 days or whatever. But yeah, I was just kind of thinking through because I know I actually texted my husband. He's Savannah Auto Works is also without power, so it took out our whole little grid over here. But I know he'll be closing early. But I asked him if our cameras on our business capture any of that, or if we could make any adjustments to capture any of it if you guys did not. So I'll once I find out, I can let you know. But I mean, if any of our cameras capture it, we would gladly let you see it if you wanted to see how cars were behaving or anything, drivers.
That'd be great.
Oh.
Put the picture back up. Anyone else comes in? Did you see that, Suzanne? Hand
Oh.
raised.
Oh, there's a hand raised. Wayne Noah.
I promise you, I'm turning the computer off and leaving my office when I get through with this. Since no one's on here, hopefully, this is more curiosity. Did y'all do a traffic count? And if so, what is the traffic count on the curve that we're talking about doing away with on the south traveling lane?
We didn't. We haven't had time to do any counts. We kind of.
Okay.
The counts. I know that, these aren't like Truman Parkway volumes, so really those aren't going to drive the decisions. Other than we may have to go back and evaluate that as part of looking at whether multi-way stop is warranted at the 90-degree intersection.
Right.
But short of that, we were really looking at something that we could implement relatively quickly, relatively cost effective.
No, I
and really improve the safety of that movement from Whitfield onto Shipyard in that curve section. That was kind of our target in evaluating that. But we've gotten a lot of good comments today of other things we can consider and look at, either as a part of this or maybe as a part of a separate project to improve safety in this whole vicinity.
As two of the gentlemen spoke, and I want to say maybe Kurt and John, can't remember, but just the last comment, the traffic, I go down to the 90-degree. I come from the north, go all the way. I do not take that curve. But what it does allow is when people are taking the curve to go on their Shipyard, that kind of slows traffic down, if you will, and people are able to exit Whitfield Park. And I think Commissioner Stone, I mean, there's probably not anybody out there that travels it more than she and I, but I literally go through this intersection 5 to 10 times a day. But it does give you kind of a reprieve from the speeding, or, you know, the speed at 40 mile an hour to get able to get out of Whitfield Park. And then the only, you know, problem then is if you've got somebody sitting on Shipyard wanting to make a left, then it's chicken from the Shipyard at the stop sign or the Whitfield Park at the stop sign. But anyway, again, thank y'all. I'm on 3 Zoom meetings a day, and I've never had one go more smoothly than this. So Catherine, whoever is involved, y'all did an amazing job.
Yes. Yeah. We've lost a few people, so we're down to 6.